All right, I think we're live. I'm going to talk to myself for a while. Got my coffee here and got my incense going in the background. If anybody has suggestions for good coffee brands and you want to drop them in the comments for video on demand, please share my recent coffee brand. I don't know if it's because of the tariffs, but it's not very good. I got a batch that was like a drink dark roast and got a batch that was very blonde roasty in flavor, which is not what you want when you're drinking dark roast. And then I had another batch that was I don't know how to describe it, almost like acidic, very what's the word? Bad start. Very like chemically tasting. And then got another batch that was it's fine, but it's not good. It's not the quality. I'm wondering if it's like tariffs causing them to use older or like worse quality material. I don't know. But yeah, not a fan. Anyway, I'll talk to myself for a while. I'll do this anyway. But last week when we did our live stream, I talked about what makes, or I kind of said that I played a lot of games, and the best games I've ever played are Age of Sigmar 2nd Edition and Hordes and War Machine 2nd Edition. And when I turned the stream off and kind of walked away from it, I thought about the weirdness of that statement, because those two games are about as far from each other as you can get in terms of like game design. And my complaint about Age of Sigmar 2nd Edition going to 3rd Edition is literally my praise for War Machine 2nd Edition, which is a weird thing, right? Like, I like that War Machine 2nd Edition was a competitive game, that that was the expectation. And I really hate that Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition became a very competitively focused game. And yeah, I think it's worth having a conversation, if anybody cares, about what that means in terms of like game design and what makes a good game. So I'm going to start with War Machine and Hordes 2nd Edition, because I think it's important to understand that like that's where I'm starting. And I did that set already. Awesome. Yeah, so I've been playing games since I was like 15. So I've been playing war games of various types for 30 years, and some historical, some sci-fi, some fantasy, and it's been a fun run. Lots of games come and go, and some are more fun than others. But War Machine 2nd Edition really, really caught my interest in a way that no previous game had, to the point where I had 8 different armies for the game at the end, maybe more. I was really into it, probably more into it than I should have been. Yeah, and what I liked about it was that the expectations were pretty clear. It's a competitive game. It's meant to be a competitive game. I didn't buy into the page 5 BS. I feel like that was supposed to be funny, and people took it seriously. So there's that. If you're the type of person that is like, no, I take it seriously, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But I never felt like that was the point of the game. It was just that it was sort of a response to other things that were going on in the gaming industry at the time. Yeah, and the game had incredible depth. It was one of those games that it was easy to learn but difficult to master as a game system. And the difference between a really good player and a really bad player was readily apparent. Now, I was not a really good player. I did compete in tournaments, and I did sometimes place in events, and did well enough. I think that there's probably a video of me getting my absolute ass kicked with my Zerkova list, which is kind of fun. But I played. I mean, one of my mains, sort of partway in, was playing Zerkova, and she was one of those people that, like, one of those casters. So in the game, you have casters, and your caster gives you your army powers. And I don't like the sponge. I'm gonna switch it out. And some were easy to figure out, sort of how to play with, and so those became sort of like the main ones that you'd see in competition. So I seem to remember Haley being really good, Sorsha being really good. There were these certain casters that were just intrinsically good, and so people did really well with them. And Zerkova was one of those ones that, like, there's a little bit more to her, but if you could make her work, like, it was oppressive. And so, I had games I did well. I remember at one time I was playing at a game store in Dayton. I think it was Epic Loot, maybe. And I was playing my Zerkova list, and I was never really competitive with it. I should have been more, but it just wasn't who I was as a person. And I remember telling my opponent on turn 2, maybe, I was like, dude, if you don't move up, you're going to lose the game. Like, because I'm going to defeat, and then it's just going to be over. And so he moved up, and he won the game. And I was kind of upset about that, but, like, it's my fault for being that type of person. But yeah, it was a fun game, and I enjoyed the depth of the game, the way that you could, play all these different factions, and if you were good, and I was good enough to fall into this category, but I wasn't like a top tier player by any stretch of the imagination. You could win with pretty much anybody, and that was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to be like, I'm gonna bring this crazy list that nobody would ever imagine, and win some games and mess some people up over it. But yeah, that was sort of. I mean, so what made that a good game? The balance made it a good game. The balance aspect was really good. The community, having lots of events to attend and to go to, and it was easy to get games in our local meta. Yeah, and I think those were the things that really, and the release schedule, like the way that they release things, and Hordes and War Machine. I think Games Workshop, especially with Horse Heresy, could really learn a thing or two from that. It would be a really good way to do releases for Horse Heresy. But yeah, that's probably the best game. And then the things that got ruined going into third were lack of balance, lack of kind of clear rules in the way that the game played. The rollout was really sloppy. They started going into, I will say this, in second edition War Machine, they had themed forces, so you could bring a themed. I had this themed force with my Zerkova. I still have some of the models for it, where you could bring like these special warjacks from another faction, but then your theme gives you bonuses at different tiers, but then also you are really limited to what you can bring in the army, so you can't sort of metagame as much. And they turned themes from that into sort of the way to play competitively. So then jumping from that to Age of Sigmar Second Edition seems really jarring because that game's wasn't particularly balanced, and it wasn't competitive at all. It wasn't designed to be competitive. And so then the question becomes, well, why did that game appeal so much? And it wasn't that it was this knee-jerk reaction to to Hordes of War Machine. I don't think. I think it was more that it was fun to play, just like War Machine and Hordes was fun to play. I had a lot of really good times, a lot of really fun games. War Machine and Hordes has this mechanic that allows you to win the game if you kill your opponent's leader model, the Warcaster or Warlock. And so there's always this sort of way to win, and it lends itself to these really epic moments where you may be losing the game, and in the last ditch effort you try for an assassination and you win, and man, those are really memorable moments. And one way or the other, if it works or it doesn't work. And I think that Age of Sigmar kind of lent itself more to that style of play, and it had really great campaigns early on. I still have them. If you've seen these, this is the Balance of Power, Realmgate, or sorry, the Quest of Gormaraz, Realmgate Wars. These are like the best campaign supplements I've ever seen. I mean, they're massive for any game ever. And I don't play the game anymore, but I have these supplements because you can go to them as like that. This is the way we're going to play this game, and come up with ways to sort of introduce new mechanics and new ideas. I actually am going to look at them whenever I eventually work through the stuff for Horse Heresy campaigns that I want to work on and write and make. Did I do this one already? I did that one. Just grab the wrong one. So yeah, so there's that. And yeah, I think those are aspects of games that can be sort of ported over to other things and pursued. So, if we're talking about Horse Heresy Third Edition, is Horse Heresy Third Edition the best game I've ever played? No, it's definitely not. In that, would it crack the top 5? Probably not. Probably not. To be honest, it's not that good. But we can fix a lot of the things that make it less than good. If you've not seen my video on painting these and trying to make it easier for you guys, kind of going through the things that I've learned, for the love of God, subassembly these. Don't put them together before you paint them. Like this whole bit up here where the guns are, just leave it off, paint it later, or paint it and then put it together later. So frustrating. There should be a section in when they put together the assembly that tells you to subassembly paint things. It would make it much easier. But yeah, anyway, so I think a lot of the things that we can do as a community for not War Machine, but Horse Heresy Third Edition can play into the building a better game, right? We can create campaign rules that are really good. We can do scenarios that are really good. Yeah, I think the community can do that. I'm actually going to try to do that, moving forward. I have a bunch of videos that are planned on it. And my goal would be to create sort of a scenario packet that you guys could download if you wanted to and run a campaign. One of the local stores here doesn't have a Horse Heresy group yet, and I talked to one of the people that work there, and they were like, "Do you want to head up the group?" And I was like, "Nah, not right now." But actually, my plan is to maybe get all the campaign stuff together, and then run a campaign at that store and kind of test everything out, see how it goes, and see how people like it. And, you know, kind of just focus exclusively on narrative stuff. And, you know, as a roadmap for that, since we're just talking to myself right now like a mad person, I'm going to have a series of videos on how to make a system, like a solar system, that you can fight in, both from a scientific perspective, since that's a field that I am proficient in, but also from like a gameplay perspective, like, you know, why are we here? I mean, we can do a beta Garmin, right, where you're we're here because we're fighting for here, right, or a Talarn, where there isn't a real reason why we're here. It's just sort of the enemy is here, so everybody's going to start pouring their resources in, and we're going to fight, and that's fine. Like, that is a completely and reasonable way to have a campaign and have battles and do this. But, you know, there could be another reason. Maybe there's a unique resource here. Maybe there's a promethium rich planet that, you know, we can stop and refuel at. Maybe there's a planet that has lots of water, and we're just extracting water for our ships, because, you know, water is really important when you're in space as well. You know, there could be a lot of reasons why, you know, we're at different places in this system, and yeah, it's so setting up all that, and then also setting up new scenarios. So I've been kind of putting that one off because I want to play some of the more relic hunt scenarios, which I think I'm going to do on Tuesday. And then I want to be able to play a little bit more of the ones from the not the Drop Site Massacre, the Saturnine one. I think has 3 scenarios in it. I've played 2 of them. And yeah, I want to get into that as well. Yeah, and then once I have that, I want to do like environment rules for them too. So, you know, this fight happens in a rad wasteland where we have rad interference. So maybe you know, your comms and your augury scanners aren't working quite as well. Maybe one has one thing that pops up in the Horseheir Sea a lot in the books is dust. I'm thinking maybe Betrayer. Karn is like talking about the dust and the fact that every single time they fight in a city, it's just dust everywhere and it clogs everything and gets into just like, you know, different environmental factors that are playing into the way we're able to fight and interact with this stuff. Do I dry brush a little bit? I've been sponging, and I know that dry brush is going to produce a different texture than sponging, but I can't get to some of the locations, question mark, with my thing. And I tried stabbing. You can do like a stabby stab brush technique. There's my stabby stab brush from last time. That's brutal. Needs thrown away. But I kind of don't want to do that right now. Anyway, so do the I'm gonna do this with the stabby stab. So environmental things, and then I was thinking about secondaries. What about faction-specific secondaries? You know, some of these are, you know, pretty straightforward, but like honestly, like if you're a militia army, you should have a secondary that allows you to just kill Space Marines. Like, you should just get points for every unit you kill, honestly, because you're militia, and who cares if you die? If you kill 10 Space Marines, that's huge. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna play with those too. So let's see. We've got the overall campaign place location that we're gonna be with different kind of planets or locations on a planet for assets. Then scenarios that you can run in each section with, you know, scenario specific, like location specific rules, and then environmental factors, and you can either set these up to be like, we're fighting in this city on this planet, and these are the environmental factors we're going to face. Or you can randomize it, just have a table and roll it. And then different secondaries for things. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. Yeah, and then just kind of treat it a little bit more like a true campaign than kind of the way things have been in the past, and really get into the narrative and stuff. And we were running a campaign here a while ago for 40K, and I had this idea that came from the Chaos Space Marines. What is it called? Crusade book or Crusade rules for Chaos Space Marines, where basically there are 3 aspects of like how you upgrade your Chaos Space Marine Lord. So you can be more powerful like individually, or you can build a bigger army, or you can build a bigger fleet. And I thought, what if we use some system like that, where it's not just about in your campaign, it's not just about winning games, right? We've always had like a lore aspect to our campaigns. So you have you win games, and then that helps control areas. So you win a bunch of games that happen in this area around the Void Generatorium, and your faction at the end of that is going to be more likely to control the Void Generatorium, right? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. But then maybe if you have people in your faction who write some lore about their army, that goes into like a librarius area, and that helps with some other aspect of the game regarding like the warp storms and the power of the warp, and maybe your faction gets a bonus next time around to invoking cyberthurgy and psychic powers, like something like that. And then the more models your army paints, your faction paints, you guys get points towards essentially logistics, like being able to replenish supplies and move around men and material and things like that. So a little bit more engaging than just we're playing games. We're playing games, but we're also, painting miniatures and writing stories and engaging in the lore and kind of all the aspects of the game. So we'll see. But the end goal is in the next 6 months or so to be able to put all that together and then turn it into a cohesive campaign structure that anybody could download and look at. And I kind of want it to be pretty. So I got to learn how to write that stuff and then also edit it, because that is not my forte, as you've seen from the YouTube videos. I'm not proficient in any of the Microsoft Office type things, and I try my best learning. I actually talked to a friend today about learning how to edit videos and be able to do some better content. Coming up on 1,000 people, which is crazy. Yeah, and somebody mentioned maybe doing a Patreon at some point, which I don't know. We'll see. If people want something like that, we can make it happen. I think that's crazy. Not because I don't want to do it, just because it's just nuts to think that people would. It's crazy to think that people watch this stuff. But it's even crazier to think that people would pay to watch stuff. So, but yeah, happy to make it. Still talking to myself. It's okay. So yeah, if you're watching this video on demand or whatever, and you've not seen the video on tips and tricks for Mechanicum, check that out before you buy any of the Mechanicum tanks and put them together. Yeah, subassembly is important. So if you've not seen, my Krioses are subassembled for sure, but I should have subassembled more. So this in the back, I don't know if I can do this really well. So there's a dude in here. You want to paint him on his own before you put all this together, because this is really hard to get to once you get to this bit. This piece here slots with this piece here, and it's this push fit, so you don't have to glue it. The push fit actually holds really well, so that's the bit. And then you can put this is the lightning cannon. The lightning cannon can just push fit in there. Now, I don't think that's a very good idea because this is 3 bits, and I think that you're going to pop that seal at some point. So once I get this all painted, I'm actually going to glue the lightning cannon in, and I'll be able to pull it out like that and put it in like this. That doesn't mean I can't use the irradiation guns on this, but they're not very good in 3rd edition, so it doesn't matter. And they weren't very good in 2nd edition either. And then I can also take the Krios cannon, so that's the pulse fusel, I think, and that also just slides in here. I'm trying to do it behind this, and I can't see what I'm doing, and sits pretty nicely. And so you could very easily swap those 2 guns out, which is very nice. My only question with it is that these bits, which are the canopies for the lightning cannon, might sit over this thing that technically goes with the pulse fusel. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. We'll see how that goes in a minute. And I'm pretty sure that this canopy, which is almost done, and it's not showing up on camera, but that looks fucking great. That's my inspiration to keep going because I'm really frustrated with the way these are turning out right now. But yeah, that I think I can put those on the front too without screwing things up at all. So that is where we're at. But I'm way behind. I want to get all these guys done by Tuesday. I don't know if they're going to be done by Tuesday, which is too bad. They'll be mostly painted, but I really wanted to put fully painted on the table. The person I'm playing against literally is a professional painter and has like a Twitch stream and is really good, really good at painting. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just not going to be able to do it justice, unfortunately. But yeah, I've got. Where'd you go? I've got my Magos, my 3rd Magos. That's really terrible. Anyway, he is not going to be painted either. I've already given up on that one. It's just too bad. I shouldn't have cut off so much bristles either. This is very much trust the process moment. It should work. Should work. Question mark. Yeah. I also have to figure out what additional Mechanicum content we're going to be making in the near future. Got the Allies video on deck. Somebody wanted to see a Knights video, so I'm going to start doing some research for that because I don't play Knights. So I need to look some stuff up. I'm going to do one on Assassins because I've played most of the Assassins now in Mechanicum, and I think that they're a really good fit for our faction because they fill a role that we don't do. So that'll be a fun video. But yeah, just gonna dry brush in here. Barely see this area. Leaving the side treads off would have been hugely helpful. Live and learn. When I paint my second Carachnos, which I don't own yet, but might own someday. I'll know. Yeah. Hey there. Welcome to my madness, talking to myself. All right. Now we're on to Wild Rider Red, which is the last step before we start cutting in all the bronze trim, which is also going to be fun. Back to sponging. The trick here is that less is very much more at this stage. You do not want to overdo it with the orange. Just want to pull in that slightly higher brightness and add a little bit of yellow to our color palette. I'm old and I grew up before airbrushes were a thing, so I've never embraced that technology. Probably never will. Don't fault people that do it, but it's not my thing. But if you've not done sponging, you should definitely try it. Trick is getting a sponge that has a good texture to it. The ones that come in like blister packs are often pretty good. But I got this one. I don't even know what from, but it's amazing. So yeah, I want to say it was from. I don't know. But yeah, the point of this is just to add texture to the surface, to break up some of these open areas that tend to, if you blend them, like if you have an airbrush and you make them really smooth, they'll look great, but you can also make them look great by sponging and adding texture. And then once I cut in all the details, I'll come back and do a little edge highlighting and edge highlighting, and then do a little bit of weathering on it too, to make it look a little bit more weather beaten and kind of old. Because they're Mechanicum stuff, but they've still been in wars. They've still seen some battles. I'm not sure whether the Mechanicum, I mean, they obviously upkeep their vehicles a lot, but how much effort do you think they put into like repainting stuff, for example? Okay. There's like entire servitor classes that are just there to like repaint the Martian red each time. Those are the things I think about, by the way. I'm a weirdo. Like the amount of time it must take to redo Astartes armor after a battle, right? Because you're gonna have to, like, you have to clean out all the blood. And if you've read the Horus Heresy novels, you're aware that like Astartes and warfare are terrifying. So you got to clean out all the blood and then like patch all the damage, and then make sure everything works again. Like all the servos and stuff are all up to date, and do all that stuff. It's got to be like, like military grade helicopters are in our world, where an Apache has, I don't know, I don't even know what the numbers are, but flies for a 20-hour flight and then turns around and has like 50 hours or 100 hours of maintenance to make sure that everything works again, and then goes back out and does another flight. It's probably similar to that. But I feel like the Mechanicum is not super invested into repainting all their vehicles every single time there's a scratch. Maybe they're religious. I guess maybe they don't want to offend the machine spirits. This freaking wheel, dude. That wheel right there. Bane of my existence. Shouldn't have put it on. Should have painted them first. All right. Get there. Look how I'm putting all this effort into making sure I can paint as much of stuff that's seen as possible. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to look. Nobody's going to like get up and look at them that close. Get all these guys done and never be able to take them to a Tanksgiving event, because our Tanksgiving events are tanks only. And these guys can do nothing against other tanks. Although it's Automata 2, so I could technically bring the Silax and put them in the Triaros. Would be a terrible idea, but I could do it. Hopefully I'll have 2 Voltraxes by then. That's, my god, such a good vehicle, or automata. I was blown away by it in Zone Mortalis. Being able to just casually drop two different status effects onto a Dreadnought is so much fun. I use super glue, and I seriously thought about snapping them off. But my concern is that then it wouldn't maybe go back on as nicely as it is now. I had the same problem with my Voltrax. I mentioned it in the video from this week. It's very frustrating, but if you put together a Voltrax, or anybody puts together a Voltrax, firstly, sub-assembly paint that sucker. Like don't do what I did and put it together and then paint it. That's a terrible idea. But the Voltrex has a, I'll get it and show it to you. It's in the case behind me. Give me a second to see my moving around without tearing anything apart. So let's see if we can get this in focus. Cameras. Yes, that's terrible. Is that better? That's also terrible. Like, sorry. I'm not very good at this live streaming. So I don't know if you can see, but the engine here and the missiles here are touching each other. Try and do this on stream. Because this engine is up too far. Yeah, it's terrible assembly job by me. I didn't realize until it was after the fact everything was glued in, and I thought about breaking it off with the super glue. And then I was like, this is gonna be bad if I try and snap this off. So so if you get a Voltrex, don't be Eric. And instead you should forget where I was with sponging. Give me a second. Okay, you're done. Instead of doing what I did, paint that under section first, and then paint the canopy, the red canopy, or whatever color canopy you do. Stick that on after you're done painting it. Do any like touch-up paints, and then put the missile launchers on next, and then the engines last. And you can paint the missile launchers and engines separately too, as well. It'll just make your life a lot easier. Yeah, it's a great model. Love it. It's great on the tabletop. Fantastic. Like I said, definitely I'm gonna get a second one at some point. It's too much orange. But there should the assembly instructions are not great. It doesn't tell you how bad that's going to look if you screw it up. Oh yeah, no, that would be great at Bayan. And if you already have two of them, you're good. It's a little different than the Forge World one. I was looking at a picture of the Forge World one. It's not like better or worse. It's just it was curious to see how much different they are. But yeah, I have to do an Abayan at some point. I have bits for one that I was going to build. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it now. But I think everybody should have an Abayan in their army, especially since we don't get free reactions like everybody else does. There's part of me that is wondering if reactions are a trap for Mechanicum. After playing Zone Mortalis with one reaction in my army, you know, like, do we really need to pay for a Cortex controller on everyone? Because it's like, maybe not. And then if we don't have Cortex controllers on people, do we need to have a Magos in the unit? Because any Magos can take overcharge reactors. I don't know. Just 8 p.m. thoughts about the faction. But I know in second I didn't really focus on their reactions at all because it was really hard to get our reactions. So it might be a trap. I think you definitely want a reaction on the Thanatar Calyx. You probably want a reaction on the Voltrax if you can get one. But like everything else is, I don't know. All the other automata kind of don't need it. Do you have a Domitar? Very curious to know how that kit is. I would like to get a Domitar at some point. It's on my list. And I don't think the plastic one's going to be out anytime soon. Alright, all I've got you in my hand, we're going to do this area. God, that looks so bad. Might just touch that up with a brush later. All right. I'm so excited to start doing the bronze. I hate painting bronze, but I've been painting red for so long with this that I'm actually looking forward to it. I think the only abeyant kit we have is the Forge World like character model. You just have to like steal their abeyant. That's crazy. 5 Domitar? I mean, you can run them in a unit, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Oh shoot, I missed a spot. Was the Mechanicum Black Book, did you have the Mechanicum Black Book in first edition? Did it have a lot of lore in it? I'm thinking about trying to get one at some point. You need to run all 5. Obviously. The company I got my Myrmidons. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. It's just called Books 6. I didn't play in that edition. But the company I got my Myrmidons 3D printed from, who did a really good job with them, and I didn't even buy like the most expensive resolution of print. They have an Artilax sculpt that you can get. And I thought about getting it at some point, but guys, it's bronze o'clock. The question is this brush going to be good? I've been trying to use brush cleaner more regularly because all of my brushes splay. And it's just been a thing I've always dealt with is brush splay. And everybody's like, my brushes last for years. Dude, my brushes last for like one army project. And so I'm starting to try to like use brush conditioner and all this stuff. Let's see if it works. But then you have to wash the brush conditioner out. So and I'm a little worried that like I'm gonna get brush conditioner in my paint, which I don't want to do. So now we'll set that paint aside because it's got brush conditioner in it. Sorry, I'm going to new water and start cutting and trim. It's like I'm painting Chaos Space Marines now. All the trim. So last week when we did this, one of the things I talked to people about was that if you want to do the bronze colors, and I start with Warplock bronze as my like bottom bronze and then work up from there. I suggest base coating with a brown. I use Ryan oxide because it has kind of a reddish color to it, kind of like the bronze do. And then I do all my base coating with the brown, and then that makes the bronze cover much more easier in the future. So. Stole that from, who was that? Minnesota's maybe? One of the guys who does the Old Hammer stuff. He does his gold the same way. I will have to try and find that book then. I actually have a video. Somebody asked about decals, like what the decals mean. And so I'm going to do a video on the decals, but it's kind of expanded into, we're going to talk about the decals, but we're also going to talk about like all of the color plates and lore that are in the second edition book, but aren't in the third edition book, which I feel like is a huge dropped ball from Games Workshop. But yeah, I was comparing the two, and I was really surprised that there's no color plates. There's not really even a lot of lore. So we might also talk lore about stuff too. I feel like I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like the third edition first release, not codices, levers seemed rushed. It seems like they were like pushing them out fast and didn't do a lot of proofreading and didn't do a lot of like, I don't know, other things with them. All right. They're fine. They're just not like, again, having seen the second edition ones, I feel like they're not in the same caliber. Oh, man, that sucks. My wash clogged up the in-between area. My Carenberg Crimson's causing me problems. To come back and fix that. I need to not get carried away doing yellow hazard stripe wires on these guys. I feel like I could just lose myself for an entire month painting yellow hazard stripe wires. It's tempting. But Never get them done at that point. There's a guy on YouTube. If you guys have not seen him, he only paints what are they called? The hell drakes. And dude's insane. Brother in Christ. Like, what's wrong with you? So much trim. So much trim. Does a great job. Like they look amazing when they're done, but I have no idea how. I would go insane. I would lose my mind. I think when I glue this together, that side is visible, right? Yes. So I paint that too. What's the maximum number of Domitars you've ever put on the field at the same time? Since you have 5 of them. All right. 1 is done. 5 more. What else can we talk about? I tried to record a funny video about the new Magos model that they spoiled, Dolio Gold, and I was gonna try and like make it like one of those clickbaity female custodes videos, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't come up with a funny clickbaity title. Also, a YouTuber that will be unmentioned who I did follow up till recently did another video recently where they talked about the female custodes, and I've been avoiding this person because I knew that their take would be something that I wouldn't like, and I clicked on it with a different title, and it was about those models, and I was like, nope, I'm done. So I unfollowed. That's cool. Scoria's bodyguard is great. Scoria is a beast. Scoria is something, man. If I had Scoria, I would drop. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you can. Is Scoria bulky? I'm sure Scoria is bulky. The question isn't, is it bulky? Is it not bulky enough to. What? Scoria is not bulky. Dude. Okay. Oh, 3, not 8. Can't believe Scoria is not bulky. So Scoria, you could definitely bring Scoria in Zone Mortalis and have some fun with that. Scoria can probably take a Primarch, which is kind of cool. And somebody pointed out that you can build a Malagra Archmagos that can probably 1v1 a Primarch. Not very well, because you can't take the same gambit twice in a row, but you could do some things. It'd be funny to try. And probably not all the Primarchs, obviously. But I've not seen a Primarch in real life, like in a real game, since second edition. Do you run Dark Mech exclusively then, Barry? I've felt the pull of Dark Mech, but I don't know. I think once I start that process, I'm not coming back from that one. There's a lot of fun conversions and stuff you can do. I don't think I'd want to take that time to do all the dark mech conversions and have fun with it. Nice. Yeah, we had a guy who played dark mech in our local group for second for like a league. I got to play him once, and we put our guys up against each other. But I would love to have a local dark mech player in third edition to be able to do some of the fun stuff you can do to each other, like the meta stuff that you can do with like playing Malagra versus playing the heterodoxists is pretty cool. Like scrap coding each other and then like I don't know. It'd be fun. Be a fun game. I gotta look up the Xana paint scheme. I don't know which one that is. Is that? Oh wow, yeah. So there's a guy. That's a great paint scheme. There's a guy I follow on Instagram who is painting something like that paint scheme. We'll see if they pop up. I follow way too many people, but it's so good. Like he just does such a good job with it. Sorry, I'm smiling because I searched Mechanicum and my stuff. Oh, the Red Wake is the account. He's doing Iron Warriors now, but he did a bunch of Dark Mechanicum stuff in that scheme, and it's gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. So it's a good scheme. Basically, everybody I see who does Mechanicum on Instagram, I follow because they're all doing the Omnissiah's work out there. But he has like a big brass scorpion, and I think his Thanatar is really gorgeous too. Just great stuff. Honestly, if I could get my hands on a brass scorpion, I'd probably play Dark Mech. That would be what would push me over the edge. And I really hope that we get more kits for the Vaults of Moravec stuff. Because there's a lot of modeling opportunities there. If you're not familiar, in the Mechanicum book, the like novel Mechanicum, the Vaults of Moravec were like a crazed ancient magos who like delved into the warp and started mixing warp technology and stuff. And when the Fabricator General falls to chaos, they open the vaults of Morvek and basically start mass producing demon engines instantaneously, which is a little weird because there's a little bit of like, should take up some time to ramp up that production, but regardless, it's still a really cool thing. And so that's where you get all the like crazy brass scorpions and blood slaughters, and that's pretty much all we get in 30K. But there should be a bunch of other demon engines that are out there and available. I think some are in Legionis Imperialis, but there should be more. There should be more options. There should also be like corrupted Castellex. And it really bothers me that in third edition we lost that, because I think in second edition, there was a, when you made your guys basically what would be the equivalent of what's the word that we have? Not Malagra. Everything's M in Mechanicum. Malefic. When you make the Malefic now, it wasn't good, but like there were other things that happened. It'd be kind of cool if we still had that. Holding out hope that we get like a Mars equivalent Journal Tactica sometime, and in that is some Dark Mech stuff, Dark Mech love. Like even just the Skitarii in the book Cybernetica, which is another good Mechanicum book if people want to read stuff. In there, the Skitarii are corrupted, and they're described as like being corrupted, like with the scrap code, and it's they're like moving. I think it describes them as moving more jerkily and stuff, sort of implying that there's maybe some possession going on. So, but not a lot of great Mechanicum centric stuff in the Horus Heresy novels. That's about it. I think in Wolfsbane we get a little bit of it because that's where Belisarius' call is introduced. But otherwise, it's a lot of Titan stuff, which I get. Titans are pretty cool. We get some Knights here and there, but I guess we get the Castellan class, which is interesting. Automata that's in the Word Bearers faction. So that was cool. That's definitely a cool one too. But I'd like to see more. It'd be nice to get some in the Scouring series. I think we'll get some Mechanicum focused things with Zagreus Kane trying to reconquer Mars and all that. Be fun to see. But the little Mechanicum vignettes are really cool. Like I really liked. I've said this on a couple videos now, but there's a 7Y something, I think is her name. She's a Skitarii she gets connected to Archenland during the Siege of Terra novels, and really like her. I really like just the idea of a Skitarii sort of like on their own dealing with humanity and all the stuff that she's dealing with. It's just really interesting. You know, not to give too much of it away, but it's just a really interesting character, and I think it's fun. I think in the stories, it's fun to see the characters who are humanizing. You know, like Mercedes Alaton, where you can be like, yeah, this is a human interacting with these things that are definitely not humans, and kind of seeing how they interact, or like, you know, all person to a lesser extent. But then you get the really crazy ones that are like not human at all, and you can get perspective from that too. So that's fun. I like it all. It's kind of sad that the main Horse Heresy books are done. I go back and reread them pretty regularly, but it'd be nice to be able to get some new ones every now and then. Fill in some gaps in the storyline. Because I felt like Mechanicum, it was a good book, but it wasn't actually, I mean, it wasn't really about the Mechanicum, right? Like there's Mechanicum in it, and Mechanicum things happen, but it really didn't focus real heavily on specific Mechanicum stuff. The plot line of that book is a completely different aspect of what's going on Mars, which, you know, is probably going to come to pass pretty soon here, since I think we're moving towards Warhammer 40,000, the end times. Let's see. That's going to be a video too. I got to put together all that stuff. So many thoughts on that. But I think that they're going to do an end times. And honestly, if they were smart about it, I said this on stream last week, they would split the game into 3 parts. They'd have the Horse Heresy, which was like a historical style game, and you could have it Horse Heresy, Great Crusade, Bad of War, War of the Beast, Scouring, just kind of like throw them all in one thing. And then you could have like Warhammer 40,000, the old world equivalent. So like, you know, the old version of the game, probably like a 5th or 6th edition game. And then you could do a new game, which is just like Hero Hammer, just like the Emperor and the Primarchs and Space Marines and fighting huge monsters and giant demons, and, you know, as the Emperor sort of reconquers the galaxy again. And that would just rake in money. Like, that'd be money. You just have a bunch of Primarch models that you can buy and a bunch of huge monsters, and just kind of turn it all up to 11. A lot like Age of Sigmar is now, where it's Age of Sigmar is very, well, I mean, I don't know now because I haven't played 4th edition, but it used to be very like hero centric. You'd have these big monster heroes that would just like crush over the battlefield and like delete entire units on their own. And you don't really get that You don't really get that in like the Horse Heresy game. I mean, a Primarch can kill a couple guys in a turn, but, you know, they're not like deleting a whole unit like some characters do in Age of Sigmar. But I think that would fit a game like that, where you were like, all right, Gilliman's going in this unit of 10 Marines. He's gonna kill every single one in here this turn. But yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. But give them an opportunity to sell everybody their stuff again. She left these wheels off too. The wheels are killing me, man. Lesson learned. What do I want to do with that trim? That's gonna be bronze too. I have to paint the inside of this soon before I do the rest of it. Little dude in their cradle, little tech priest. Do you think they like it? The guys that are in here, and the little cradles that are there. I think it's kind of crappy job, you know. Like his lower half has been removed. It's just arms and torso and a head. So it's not like you can get out. But, you know, you get to be one with the tank of the machine god. That seems like a benefit. You don't ever have to poop again, which is, probably good. I don't know. I feel like you're probably into it. On the studio model, this part is painted a different color, and that is not what I'm going to do. That's just asking for problems. Make it more complicated than it needs to be. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what else to talk about. Aside from the thought process for painting these, which I've already been through. So much trim. It looks good when it's done. Like the bronze to the red looks good, but it looks very studio schemey, which I like. But it's also so much extra work. Just doing metal. My goal is to get all these guys done this year, all my Mechanicum. And then my reward to myself, if I get all my Mechanicum done, is going to be that I'm going to buy myself a knight for my Mechanicum force. Probably a Cerastus. Just because I like the way the Cerastus looks. It's got like an ammo belt on one of them. I don't know what gun it is. It's the one with the almost like a Vulcan Mega Bolter gun. I don't think it is the Vulcan Mega Bolter. But yeah, kind of like the way that ammo belt looks like the Thanatar's ammo belt. So go with that. Keep a little bit of continuity in the army. Do a night. Have to research night houses. Figure out which night house makes sense. Go with that. Yeah, I'm gonna take a break before I do the next guy. That was rough. So much detail work. Also, at some point, I need to paint my Iron Warriors and sell them because I'm not gonna play a Stardust. Not that I have a problem with it, just I don't play enough. And I started building them because I wanted to like expand out and have a little allied force, and just I don't know, just not feeling it. Just not feeling Space Marines. Plus the hazard stripes are killing me. So much hazard stripes. I literally would rather paint like Sons of Horus or something like that, and like have to come up with a whole new way to paint that scheme and stuff than paint another set of hazard stripes on the model. It's brutal. I mean, they look good, but also everybody's playing Iron Warriors, and like one of the reasons or one of the rationales behind playing Mechanicum in my mind was that nobody was playing Mechanicum in my local group when I started. And it's not Space Marines. It's different. Not gonna lie, it's red, so there's that. But when I started painting up the Iron Warriors, everybody was playing Iron Warriors, so it's fine. Speaking of, yeah, man, those they're so expensive though. But yeah, the what are they called? They're I was gonna look in the book, but they're not in the book anymore. They also begin with M because everything in Mechanicum begins with M. We should do that as a video. But yeah, there's a Mechanicum, or the other knights look good. But yeah, I'll probably just do a Cerastus because I can get it locally. And our store has a pretty good discount. I did my night pricing rant last week, so I won't do that again. Night pricing is off the Strix. Oh. I don't know if I recognize that one. I'll look it up. Give me a second. Did I screw that up? I don't think I screwed that up. This is the best content ever because I'm like looking something up online and you guys can't see what I'm seeing. Questoris Knights. Oh, I was thinking the Megaras, but the Strix. Or the Porphyron looks awesome. $700 though. Might as well buy a Titan. Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that one. I like the claws. They look like Legos to me. But yeah, that one looks good. Yeah, I like some of the knights. Not gonna lie. I guess it's Styx. Mispronouncing that. Sorry. I really wish the Warhound still had the rule that Mechanicum all gets like +1 to their leadership in range, because I know somebody. I would have them 3D print me a Warhound. That would be fun. Not that I'd ever play it, but yeah. How have you found the knights if you've played them? At first glance, I was looking at the rules because there's, that was kind of where I started was, is there one that covers some of the weaknesses I think Mechanicum has? And at least the plastic ones, I don't think that any of them are really, I don't know. They're not bad. They don't really fill any gaps in the roster. Does that make sense? The melee ones aren't great in melee, not for the points. And the ranged ones, at least the ranged ones I was looking at, don't really have what Mechanicum needs, which is a way to crack armor 14 reliably. Yes, Asterius. Sorry. Oh yeah, no, that one looks freaking ridiculous. That build, the Acastus Knight those look great. But yeah, it does look like those arms are huge. I'm sure being resin, it's probably pretty hard to make them work. like I said, $700 for a night is way out of my price range. And if I was going to spend $700 on a night, I'd probably just save up a little bit more and buy an actual Warhound. But they're still pretty cool. I haven't seen anybody run knights in third either. That's been another. Nobody's run knights. Nobody's run custodes. Played one game against our Solar Ox player, who is a friend of mine, and I literally apologized at the end of the game because it was so rough for him. He turned around and just absolutely curb stomped Space Marines, though, so it's okay. Yeah, and it's just been Space Marines all day long, which is what you expect in Horus Heresy, but I don't think I'd want to fight knights just because I don't think Mechanicum has a good answer to lots of armor. But fight custodes just to try it. I don't think I played them against them in third either. Yeah. All right, getting there. I am not painting this studio scheme with the gold. You got 6P one stream. I better say some things that are important. Smart. I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Do you have questions? Just want to watch me paint miniatures? Scream about how I should have subassembly painted these and not done them this way. It's ridiculous that I did it this way. Don't be me. Paint your tanks before you put them together. I'm just blocking out the parts that are going to be bronze with Rhinox hide because it helps the warp lock bronze, I think. Yeah, warp lock bronze, which is my base bronze color to cover it better. And you probably can't see it. I paint out of the pot. Don't scream at me. I thin my paints in the pots. So when I get the paint, I pre-thin it, and then it's all uniform. So don't want people judging me for my skills. All right. Can't see down here. Some left-handed. There we go. I'm excited to get the Macrotek stuff out on the table. I put this out before, actually against the Solar Ox player. And they do pretty good into infantry. Like, I should be able to sweep up some Space Marines with my Krios lightning cannons. But it'd be really nice. If Games Workshop decided to give us something that can take out space or Terminators pretty regularly. I don't know. If you read the Iron Warriors, the Proto-Rabo book, which is a good book in terms of Primarch novels, not the best one, but a good one. The phase plasma fusils that the HRUD use, which is where I think the Mechanicum get the phase plasma fusils, those don't care about Terminators. It literally bypasses your armor entirely. So it'd be nice if they, I don't know. I don't think they need to be AP2, but breaching is what they have. They have breaching. They have breaching. doesn't seem quite powerful enough for them, but it is what it is. If you've not read the Alfarius Primarch novel, you definitely should, even if you don't like Alpha Legion. That's the best Primarch novel by far, at least of the ones that I've read. And it's, if you want a really good pairing, and I'm going to do a video on this later, is sort of like series that aren't actually meant to be series, but that make good series. My phone is like, are you talking to me? But the Alfarius Primarch novel, the Constantine book, and then read the first, or read the Beckwin novels, the first two, because the third one's not out, and that's good. That's good. You'll be turned on to the crazy conspiracy theory side of 40K and Horse Heresy, just like me. If you do that, that's a good group. They're all well written novels too, so that's a bonus. But I don't know what should I have you read first. Read. I think you read. I think you read the Constantine book first, and then the Alfarius book, and then the Beckwin novels. I think that's the way I would do it. That'd be a good combo. But I like to put together like the weird lore that like it's definitely connected, but it's not like overtly part of a series together. So right now I'm reading. I just finished Unremembered Empire, and I'm reading Pharos now, and then the next book will be the first Belisarius Call, The Great Work, which that's basically a series, right? Like those three books are really closely related to each other. It's kind of fun to like come up with new versions of way to reimagine the lore and put it all together. So that did not line up well at all. Goodness gracious. We lost everybody. Nobody liked that conversation. I would suggest reading the what is it? Crap. The one where Fulgrim tries to kill Perturabo. Injo Exterminatus. Then read Saturnine. Then read the Iron Warriors, the first of the Iron Warriors trilogy novels. Iron Storm, I think is what it's called. But Iron Storm was terrible, man. I hated that book. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't like it, but there's a couple Chaos Space Marine books like that that are like popular in the community that I don't like. I didn't like the Night Lords book, Soul Hunter. Didn't like it. I haven't read any of the other Night Lords books. I love Night Lords and Horse Heresy. I love their lore. I love Conrad Kurz and the Unremembered Empire. Like he's such a. I actually built an entire when I was running a D&D campaign. I built an entire antagonist for the party on Conrad Kurz. I scaled up. I basically built a warlock character that was what's it called? CR, challenge rating high enough to be a challenge to the party. And then she basically was just like a terrorist, and just murdered people and left their bodies hanging and left like chemical bombs on their bodies so that when people would like cut them down, they would explode and kill more people. Just all sorts of terror things in the city, and just absolutely terrorize the party for a couple sessions. It's pretty fun, but it was all based on the Conrad Kurz that's in the books because he's such a good character, such a good character. But sometimes you read the lore and you're just like, I got to make this. I got to do something with this because it's so good. But then I don't feel like the Soul Hunter did it justice. I don't know. Could be wrong. And then I really liked Space Marine Apocalypse. There's some word bearers in there, and I feel like they were some of the best written Chaos Space Marines I've seen in a long time. They're really good. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other Chaos Space Marines I liked. I didn't actually like Lion Son of the Forest. I think it was fine. I just didn't like all the. I know that this is the appeal, but I didn't like all the Arthurian legend stuff. And yeah, that's it is what it is. Like it's everybody gets their own little thing. I just didn't like. I thought it was really immersion breaking to have basically Arthurian knight names in the people that were being rescued. And like I said, I understand that other people will be like, no, I love that, and that's fine. It just wasn't. Someday I want to write lore for a Chaos Space Marine that is like a mirror of the Dante story. So if you've read Dante, it's sort of him as a space marine, but also like his origin story. And I think it would be really fun to have basically a religious extremist child working very hard to become an angel, right? And they're like going through all the trials and having to fight other children and all the things that we associate with Space Marine ascensions, because it is a really horrible. When you read Dante and like just read it as a novel, not as like a 40K novel, it's really awful. Like making children kill each other that's pretty dark. But you could easily do it and have this character be like, yeah, I'm super devoted to my deity, and just like be ambiguous about the deity. And then you could have them get selected and be excited to be selected and feel like they're one of the chosen ones, and they go through all the trials and kill other youths and all this stuff, and they're becoming a Chaos Space Marine, not a loyalist Space Marine. But they would look at it as being heroic and noble, and be this great thing, and just like a follower of the corpse god would. So that all would be the same. So it's kind of fun to think about, like doing that as a piece of lore. I will at some point, because I have my Word Bearers Warband they have a special subgroup of person called a petitioner, who are basically people from other, not chapters, but other groups of Space Marines who have converted over. So I have like an Iron Warrior and a few Night Lords in there, because I got the Night Lord kit. an Alpha Legionary who's definitely called Alfarius, and just like a whole host of them. It lets me paint other schemes other than word bearers in the army, which is nice. But it'd be fun to make one of them the character that like went through the trial, I guess. Oh my god, this is gonna be. Nope, we're gonna do it this way. I'm gonna regret doing this. I'm cutting in the gold here, and it's gonna be. It'll be fine. This is gonna be annoying. I also, when I bought these, I bought myself a can of lead belcher spray, thinking that would speed the process along. And yeah, I won't ever buy a Games Workshop spray metal again. That was a waste of $30. It's insane. Do I want to just do it all copper? I think I am. That's just way easier if I do it all the bronze metal. Man. I haven't touched my word bearers in a long time. Just can't get into 10th. I don't know that I'm going to be able to play 10th or 11th. If it's another edition of simplified, not simple, no flavor to the game, shooting for 50% win rates on everybody, just not going to play that game. I have a feeling that's what they're going to do with it. So we shall see, but I haven't even followed the 500 world stuff at all, or like any of the new, like the Huron models. I know that they came out. I saw them. They look great. Love them. I would love to restart my word bearers and use only the models from or a lot of the models from the Red Corsairs. Those models are just ridiculously nice and love them. Just, I don't know. I'm probably actually going to sell a bunch of my word bearer stuff here soon, and keep sort of the unpainted stuff and the stuff I want to keep in my warband, and get rid of a lot of the other stuff because I just haven't played. Got 4 people in chat. Is anybody playing 10th edition 40K still? Enjoying it? I don't know. No, I'm just curious. We have now the group is kind of fragmented, but our local group I think has like 300 and some people in it in our Discord, and so we have lots of players. I haven't seen anybody playing. Well, that's not true. There were a couple people playing when I went the other day, but it's not like it used to be. And this isn't a 40K or 40K is dying thing. Like clearly the company is making record profits. They're doing fine. I'm just curious, like who all's playing and like where are they playing? Like I'm probably biased because I only really engage in Course RC stuff now. So whew. call this relatively soon. Kind of running out of things to talk about. So if anybody has anything they want to talk about in chat, put it in there. I am gradually making progress on trim. Don't know what I was thinking when I decided to paint this with this. It's going to look good when it's done, but oh my god, so much work. So much detail work. The ideas for how to use the Scutari models that are being released for 40K and 30K. Kind of racked my brain about what they could be used for and can't come up with anything. I guess maybe, well, no, they can't because I was going to say the Silax, but the Silax are actually melee guys. I don't know. They're not big enough to be Myrmidons. They're not lightly armored enough to be Thylaxi. They don't have jump packs, but you could probably, convert them to have jump packs. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's fair. That's I get a lot of that. Like a lot of people have jumped over to bolt action here as well. But yeah, I think people are still playing. I just don't think it's, I don't know. I don't think it's the numbers that it was sort of a while ago. Got all over, like, I played 2 games of 40K in 10th edition 40K in 2025. And that was during a charity event. And I would have played Horse Heresy for that event, if so. Bolt action is really interesting. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on it. I played a lot of World War II games over the years. Never like the scale of bolt action, this miniature size. Yeah, it looks like a cool game. Hey, welcome. Of course, I am very glad to have you. If there's anything that questions that you have or like videos that you would like to see, please let me know because I'm always looking for ideas and trying to get you guys going with things. And I'll probably redo some of the early videos that we did because, I've gotten things wrong and I think there's an errata somewhere in there. But Mechanicum is your very first Warhammer is pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. Definitely didn't choose the easiest path first, but I'm glad to have you here. And I just put out a video this week about some of the mistakes that I made in early Mechanicum stuff, including this cluster that I'm doing right now, which are these tanks, and sort of just how to not make your life harder, because I've made my life a lot harder in the way that I did these tanks. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. But yeah, glad to have you. And are you playing Dark Mech or Loyalist Mech? Mix of the both? But yeah, bolt action is an interesting thing to me because it's sort of I feel like it's a more competitive World War II style game. And I don't know, from my historical background, competitive stuff is kind of odd to me for historicals, but I'm not going to judge anybody. I never gatekeep people, but it's just a weird. Yeah, look, I can't blame people for Dark Mech. It's a great looking idea, and there's so many conversion opportunities, and you can just have a lot of fun with it, and it lends really Mechanicum lends really well to Dark Mech, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, there was a Barry was in earlier talking about their Dark Mech as well, and it's very cool. I have been tempted, trust me. And like I said, if I ever got a Brass Scorpion, or if they ever released like a Dark Mech plastic kit, I would probably dip into it, because it's just a matter of saying I'm Dark Mech as opposed to whatever. But during second edition, Dark Mech got like special abilities. So like I think their cast selects were a little bit different. It's kind of sad that they don't have that now, but hoping, really fingers crossed, that we get a Dark Mech journal at some point, like a Martian Civil War journal with Dark Mech stuff in it, and get a kit. I doubt that we'll get the big walkers that are in the Imperialis kit, but it'd be nice to get like a, I don't know, something soul grindery, maybe blood sluttery. Yeah, I mean, it's they could almost do a militia style Dark Mech feel, where they just kind of, or like demons, where they just kind of like let you pick an idea and then just roll with it with whatever. Because demons in Horse Heresy, you pick your god ish thing, your keyword essentially, and then you can use plague bearers or bloodthirsters, or bloodthirsters, that's the wrong one, bloodletters, or your I forget the other ones. Sorry, the horrors, and then you just use the models, and it doesn't matter sort of what rules you use, so long as the base size is right. So it would be cool if they had that for Mechanicum, where it's just like, here's a kit, build whatever you want out of it, have some fun with it. I doubt that we'll get that, but I keep threatening to buy some more Venom Crawlers and then use the Venom Crawler kit as Blood Slaughters. Kind of fit the vibe. I think they're about the right size. And Blood Slaughters are such a fun model in the game. Again, very, very unlike anything else in Mechanicum. Yeah, I think so. I think it would be a good way to do it. I mean, they won't do it that way, but not when they can force you to buy a specific kit. But in the book Mechanicum, when I mentioned this already, but when they open up the vaults of Moravec, which are like where they keep all the technology that they're not allowed to get to anymore, they basically unleash everything. Probably soul grinders, blood slaughters, the greater brass scorpions, like all that stuff comes out of those vaults. So there's a lot of options for them to kind of play with. And we don't get any of Lucas Crumb. So Lucas Crumb is a Magos, an Archmagos, sorry, get his title right, who and so Lucas Crumb is an Archmagos who basically makes an AI automata, which is super, super no. Again, we could get new automata that are like the things that he was making as well, but I don't know that we will, but it would be kind of cool to do it. I think their mindset up to now has been like focusing very much on the Tagmata, which is the sort of feudal hierarchy of how things work in the Mechanicum, but then kind of skipping over some of the other aspects that they could be using. Sorry, just forgetting how I painted the other side. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good to have you, and I'm very glad that the videos are helpful. It's when I started this journey, it was basically that nobody was doing it. Nobody was making Mechanicum content at all. I was like, well, somebody's got to do it. So sorry that the quality isn't quite what other YouTubers are putting up. I'm gonna try and learn how to edit videos and do a better job in the coming months. But yeah, it's been fun, and the response has been really good. Everybody's been really enthusiastic and supportive, which is really nice. But yeah, it's not. Well, that's good. I'm glad. And like I said, if you have questions, please ask. And the got a lot of people in the community who are very into the faction and correct me often, which is good because I don't always get everything right. Yeah, it's nice. I would like to eventually start doing some battle reports once I'm sort of fully painted and maybe can set up some games where you can get some good videos. No, that's fair. That's fair. It's there's a lot to it. I would definitely start with that video though that I put out this week about, because I talk about army list building and sort of where to begin, even just with collecting models. Because I, again, kind of like from the perspective of these are mistakes that I made. I have 2 units of Phylaxy, a unit of Ursarax, right? And those guys it makes it really hard to build my list because, I have these models that are painted and I kind of want to run them because they're painted, but also like they're not Cybernetica. And most of my army is Cybernetica. So that means I have to have extra Archmagos extra Magos and kind of make it work. And it's fine, but it's a little annoying. So if you have a theme with your dark mech that you want to run, definitely try to keep to that theme. Not that you can't break out into other units, but like just be considerate about how you're going to fill your detachments out with units. I give the example of I have Tech Thralls and Thalax and Castlex Battle Maniples. Those are all support options, right? So in theory, I could run a Tagmato support detachment and put my Castlex in there, put 2 units of Thalax in there, and put a big unit of Tech Thralls in there, because that's 4 slots. And that would be 1 detachment. But because they're different factions, you can't do that. And so those would have to be 3 different detachments, which means that you'd need a Magos and a half to make that work. It's super annoying. It's kind of cool because it's thematic to the army, but it's also super annoying. And so the result is, oh, that's looking good. I'm really liking the way that cuts out. It's a lot of work, but it's going to look good when it's done. Anyway, so just think about that, especially as you're sort of building your first list and collecting things. Is do you want to lean into any aspect of this when you're building your list? If you're building dark mech, are you gonna do you want a lot of Ursarax in your army? Do you want a lot of Cybernetica? Do you want a lot of Thalax? What's your core going to be? And then once you get that, you can build into that. But yeah, sorry, rambling. It wasn't like that in 2nd edition, which is why my army looks the way it does, because I bought all the starter boxes and all the big value things. But now I'm like, I don't know if I would do that again. especially in third. Yeah. Plus we have Skitari now. Play Skitari in our lists. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What did you buy? If you don't mind sharing. We'll talk about your stuff. I'm gonna paint up this last Krios pilot dude trim. And I'm gonna call it for the night because if I paint any more trim, I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, of course. Take your time. I'm gonna mute my audio and blow my node. All right, back. Whoa. Ugh. Oh, that's a good. I mean, that's a good mix. Dracovic. What is? He's the one on the Abeyant, right? I know my rule book. I literally just had it open 10 minutes ago. I don't know where my core rulebook went. Anyway, yeah, so he's Dracovic. He's the. What do your Castellax have? Have you built them? Do they have the Mauler cannons or the other two? Okay. Yeah, so I mean, if you can magnetize them, I'd magnetize them. If you're good at that, it's possible to do it. It's just a pain in the butt. But yeah, so you'll want eventually to get some Magos. Well, you'll need to get some Magos to be able to play because you'll need those to get your. Yeah, you're fine. That's great if you have a friend who can help you with it. I mean, just paint stuff up and play with it and have fun. But yeah, you'll need some Magos models to open up some slots. Nice. Yeah, you'll need a few of those. I don't know. I literally have my book. I don't know what Dracovic is in terms of his assignment. I don't know if he's Cyber. I think he's Archimandrite, if I'm remembering right. So, but you could always just run him as a regular Magos too, like an Archmagos on the band. That's totally fine. And then, yeah, that's a good collection. The Myrmidons are great. Myrmidons are amazing in third edition. If I had unlimited time and unlimited resources, that's a list I would build into is 3 or 4 units of Myrmidons, probably 3 units of Seculars, 1 unit of the Destroyers, or whatever they are, and then go there. Yeah, I thought he was Archimandrite. No, that should be good. That's a good start. It'll be fun. Are you going to do any conversions with like making them look dark Mechanicum-y? Adding spikes or tentacles or different bits into there? It's quite a start. And you've not played 40K or anything? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, whatever. You gotta start somewhere and have some fun. That's crazy. You just have a friend that's into it, and you're like, gonna go all in for Mechanicum. You get a bunch of resin stuff. Ah, I see. I see. I see. Yeah, that's fair. That's cool. That's so cool. Wish my neighbor played that. They just played music really loudly and have loud parties. They're nice though. I like them. They're just loud. Yeah, I really like man. That's awesome. I really like Mechanicum. I have no regrets about starting this army. And I've said it on stream or not on stream on the pod. No, oh yeah, no, that's fine. No, I like them. They're really nice people. I genuinely like them. They're just um, I am not the type of person to party and play loud music, and so that's all. It's fine. I really like my neighbors. I really can't complain. But yeah, anyway, I wouldn't switch my Mechanicum for anything. I'm really happy to have them, and they I had like a 90% loss rate in second edition with them because the game was just so heavily balanced toward Astartes models. Like if you couldn't deal with dreadnoughts, you just lost basically. Um, and it's nice to not have that in third, but it's also like I had coming from Warhammer 40,000 10th edition into second edition Horse Heresy. I had more fun playing Horse Heresy and getting my butt kicked every single game um, than I did in 40K. And I probably had more games. I probably won more games of 10th edition 40K than I lost. Um, not by a huge margin, but definitely by a margin. And I just didn't enjoy it. It was I go back to 10th edition 40K. Go back to I had a game against somebody who was playing Voton, and I live 45 minutes from the gaming store. So it's 45 minutes to get there, however long to set the game up, get all the stuff set up, roll first turn, take our turns. I go first. I move up. I'm playing Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum, get on objectives, do all the things that you're supposed to do to win, right? Um, they do their first turn and utterly fail to contribute to the objective game in any meaningful way. Not my fault. Not like I outplayed them or screened them out. They just didn't do it. And then I take my second turn, killed some more of their stuff, and then they conceded because points wise they couldn't catch up. So 45 minutes to play one and a half turns of a game. And that pretty much sums up 10th edition 40K for me. Because, it's not about playing and having fun, it's about winning or losing, apparently. So Krapnos is great. I love the Krapnos. I'm painting a Krapnos right now. Definitely subassembly this guy. We'll walk through it. Let's see if I can show it on screen in a way that's meaningful to you. Is that too much light? Too much light. Too much light. Less light. Is that better? Okay. So leave these guns off and this canopy off. leave this tread and that tread off. So you're going to assemble the centerpiece, leave this and that off. And then when you go to paint these, you're going to leave this plate off, the one I painted red. And then what you can do is you can paint this one whatever you want, this plate whatever you want. And you can sponge it to give it texture, or like dry brush it, or whatever you want to do. And that makes it really easy to paint. And then you can paint all this stuff in here and in here without having to worry about touching this where the red is here. So that makes it really easy. And you can just glue that on. And you do the same thing over here. You paint this plate here on its own. And then you glue the gun. Well, you paint the guns and then glue them on. And then you can easily access the inside of the guns, because I can't access the inside of the guns right now at all. And then that lets you access all the stuff that's under here, because there's a bunch of gribbly bits under there that you can paint. And then that makes it easier. And then the last thing you want to do is leave the missiles out of this part. So the missiles fit in here like that. But don't paint the missiles first. You can't see my missiles. Because when they sit in the racks like this, it makes them really hard to get to as well. So that's my Caracnos 30-second save you hours worth of pain. I wish I would have. So frustrating. Wish I would have done it differently. But the Caracnos is great. It's a fantastic tank. And yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's not a big deal. No, the missiles are good too. The missiles are. I think hunter killer missiles are amazing, and I will be putting them on all my tanks at some point. Assuming I can find the tip of the hunter killer that I'm missing, but I think that's gone forever. So maybe I'll just try and sculpt one. But yeah, the hunter killers are great. I think they're a good choice. But the Caracnos is a great tank. It's really good. Panic 3 is really good. Yeah, it's good. The Skitarii, I haven't played with them. Yeah, that's fine. Have a good one. Enjoy your time. I'm actually probably gonna wrap up here. I don't know that I can. I think I've trimmed out for the night. I'll have to do some more trim tomorrow. But thank you for coming and hanging out, and to everybody else who joined. And we'll wrap it up here and do this another time. Yeah, of course. Have a good one. I don't know how to end the stream. There we go. End stream button.